Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sundays at the Station.
Sunday.
So-
Ah.
Yeah, what's up?
Go. Hi, everybody. Hi, how
Hi.
are you? Me, John Sherburne.
Me, justindcha.
And this is Sundays at the Station. Today we got a little bit of a interesting one.
We have a little, what do you call it? We have a mission-based
Themed
podcast.
episode?
Themed episode.
No, mission. We have a mission-based show for you guys today.
The mission is to talk about something.
Yeah, pretty much we have something specific we're getting into. So, there is this little play. It's like a musical-ish.
Octet.
It's called Octet. It's by Dave Malloy. It's about 8 internet addicts in the basement of a church talking about their internet addiction and what that means. It was off Broadway, 2019. It might come back next year for another little show.
Really?
Yeah. And it's really interesting. I saw this one little piece of it. Is that 8? IX?
8?
Roman
That'd be
numeral?
9.
9?
IX, because X is 10.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
9. Number 9 from this album is Little God. This is conversational, this little song. I don't know about the other ones, but this one is a conversational thing.
Yep.
That focuses pretty much on the concepts of science, religion, what it all means.
Miracles, and how science plays with religion, really, and how they interact with each other.
We'll do a quick little like breakdown of the plot. Pretty much what happens is this guy's a scientist and atheist. Not that those two things are mutually exclusive, but he is. And he goes online at one night, and pretty much finds a recording that he translates into a person saying that they're God. And he finds this person can speak to him even though it's like supposed to be pre-recorded. Eventually he finds out that this is maybe God. This is at least a omnipresent thing that can control stuff. He goes into his science laboratory, and all of his playmates, peers,
colleagues,
colleagues. All of his colleagues also got this message from God, and God comes in, and God's a little girl
Wearing a mermaid costume.
And pretty much the rest of it's him talking about how they are trying to decide how to prove it's God, and like how far to prove it's God. God starts by doing like little miracles, and they start doing all these studies and things, and understanding, maybe trying to understand how they did this and how this happened. And a bunch of weird shit happens, like she makes not a velociraptor.
She turns a coffee maker.
Pterodactyl.
She changes a coffee maker into a little pterodactyl.
Yeah, no, pterodactyl. They end up going back in time, and they see all these historical things, and she's playing with the universe, and they're entering different things, and it's going crazy, and they're trying to decide, when do we prove this is God?
And how?
Truly. Because so far, all these things technically have a scientific explanation. When does it become a miracle? And that's kind of what we want to talk about today. So that was a quick little... I hope I did that justice. I think I did.
Yeah, that's the gist for sure.
All right, cool.
So yeah, I mean, you're listening to this, and it's very. I want to talk about the production first, honestly.
Sure.
So I haven't listened to the rest of the musical or anything. I didn't see it. Wish I did. It seems very interesting. But I really like the way that they go between the ensemble and the main character. It's just like it's an ensemble of it feels like 3 people or somewhere around there. And
it is an octet standing on the stage.
Okay.
There is 8 people. I don't know if they're all talking the whole time something, but there is 8 people.
It sounds just like a small group of people replying as little God, and sometimes his colleagues, and it's just a very droning sounding.
And they're all in parts. Like,
it's very monotone, and we're all talking in a different key, but it's all coming together.
Yes, and there's like 6 layers. Maybe we could try to find a way to edit that into the audio. Me talking, and then they put it all together.
Yes.
And so it's like 8 people. Like almost sounds like it sounds dissonant.
Right.
That's what it is. It's almost flat, but it's not. It's just this dissonant, like the voice of many is the concept. I think they do that concept pretty well.
Yeah.
I think the main question of this whole thing is like, what is knowing?
Yeah,
right?
it is.
The what creates knowledge? Where does knowledge end? Like in the quest for truth, how far will you go? Because once you get on that path of like I need to know for sure. It's almost impossible to get off that path.
Right.
Like it's a quest that will never. It's an unquenchable thirst for more.
Because there's certain things that you can't know for sure.
And there's always another question.
Exactly.
There's always something deeper. Something
Well, if this, then this.
until
And
maybe
this.
you're God.
Yeah.
Right?
And you do know everything.
So once you go through everything, you're just God because
Yeah.
you know everything.
Mm-hmm.
But how long does that take?
Well, so does God mean to know everything? Well, I guess if in knowing everything, does that mean that you know how to do anything? Because is that knowledge or is it skill? Are they the same thing? It's a slippery.
It is a really slippery slope. I think at the beginning they talk for a bit. Let me see if I can pull it up. At the beginning he's talking for a while about like skepticism and why skepticism is like important. Let's see. He says, I actually try to engage, educate a little. He's talking about being on forums and talking to people at night. You know, these people, it's just impossible. It's like throwing your mind against a wall. And I get so heated, man. It's like I'm intolerant of unintelligence. It's my fatal flaw. I might as well be getting mad at people for not being able to do calculus. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And there's a few. There's these three little things he says that I want to talk about a little bit. I don't know if you care about this stuff too, but I think that's interesting. Like I get angry at people for not being smart. I think it's a more boiled down way of saying I get mad at people for not wanting to be smarter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like I don't know how you feel about that quote.
I mean, I think it's a common problem that a lot of people have, and because like it's once you have a certain knowledge, you just have it, so you kind of take it for granted that you had, and it also depends, because on one side you could like really come at the angle with like I worked so hard to get this, nobody else knows this, so I'm gonna tell it to everybody, and then play it up. I'm so confident in my answer.
Yes, I'm right.
Right.
Yeah.
Equally, it could be like, oh, this makes so much sense. How does not everybody realize this? And it's like the angle of like, oh, the sheeple are just believing a certain thing. And there's multiple angles to go at it with. But
that's tough because on the one hand, it's like you can't blame anyone else for not having the same life as you. The same.
Exactly.
Your only reason you know things you know is because of how your life has gone.
The
At the same time, though,
that
it can be frustrating. I know something that I struggle with. Like, it can be frustrating to say, like, and no one's working from the same knowledge base, but why aren't we? Like, it seems so obvious, but that's not a good way to look at the world at all. How about the next part? He talks about science is suspect. I mean, look at nutrition. The scientific evidence for whether you should eat wheat or not is crazy, or if acupuncture works. And as a layman, we trust that what we hear from our preferred media and peers is right, but skepticism is necessary and a healthy trait in scientists. Or at least that's what I thought. I think that's like the key to the entire thing. I think that is the quote to describe the entire plot of it. That's the question you're going at. Like, what is belief and faith? And like, should we have faith? Is blind faith okay? How much faith is okay? How much skepticism is okay?
Right.
I think that's like the crux of it.
Yeah, it's all about what you want, and then that's like, and I have this belief that, you know, our lives are, you know, so short. I don't mean to get like
please do,
existential, man. Or I mean, I guess that's what this whole thing is about. But our lives are short, you know, so we have to, in having different experiences through life, you have to assign certain importances to different things, and they're not ever going to be the same for everybody, ever. Yeah, because we live in different areas of the globe, and unless we achieve some sort of utopian state where everybody has the same knowledge base, the school is the same.
One world order.
One world order, and in a good way though, whatever that would mean, you know.
If possible.
If humans progress and you can be creative and whatever, but we all have the same knowledge base, one government and whatever.
Oh God, it would be horrible.
It's less exciting for sure, but that's where we would all have the same kind of stresses on certain things.
What about faith versus skepticism? I know we've talked about this a lot, and we have different opinions on this. Like, in terms of how much to believe. Like, I know that you believe in ghosts, and I don't believe in ghosts. That's huge. And then I have a few of those things. Like, my mom believes in all that stuff too. A lot of it. She's had experience with a lot of it. I haven't. Right. I consider myself to be kind of a skeptic.
Well,
I don't know if it's a good thing though.
yeah.
Like how much of that's healthy. I want to just hear your kind of take on that.
On ghosts or just believing in something
I mean,
like
if you
that.
feel like using the metaphor, feel free. But.
Yeah. I'll go with ghosts. And
Ooh.
spooky. Like when I was a kid, this is just like kind of this is a reach, but
Anecdote.
when I was younger than when I was 1 to 3, my parents and I lived in this
1 to
house.
3? You were that young? No.
It's a different experience than what I've told you. I've had a couple.
How do you know? Oh.
I was told.
Go,
I was told this
go.
one. That's why I was saying it was a
Mm-hmm,
reach.
mm-hmm.
The house that I lived in, and specifically the bedroom that I lived in, was a room that the previous owners had a relation to. Somebody committed suicide in that room, hung himself, whatever. Never was able to fall asleep in that room as a baby. They always had to drive me around so I would fall asleep, and then they would drop me off in that room, just crying, crazy. My aunt, 2 years ago, we were at a family gathering, and she was like, "Oh yeah, your guys' first house was definitely haunted." Like that, she's convinced that she's because I'm
medium?
saying yeah, she's and I don't know the science behind that at all. But she's like, yeah, I can like feel that sort of energy, and we never told her that somebody had committed suicide or anything like that in that house.
Cool.
She was just like, yeah, that room specifically was heavy as shit.
Sketchy.
So there's that, and then also at my grandparents' house when I was like around 10 years old, I heard footsteps in the kitchen unmistakably. They said
Which
that
I'm convinced is an auditory hallucination, which is normal for young children.
I was wide
who
awake
develop
watching Home Alone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But and I always say that stuff like nah, and it's because I've never experienced it.
Exactly.
And I'm open to it too. Like I really want to experience something that makes me question that stuff. I just haven't.
Yeah.
Oh, the air conditioning's on, man.
I know. I noticed. We'll
Is it
EQ
noticeable?
it. It's not bad.
We can turn it off. It's not weird.
I can barely hear it in my headphones.
All right. If this audio is bad, I want everyone to blame Justin.
Okay.
I offered to turn it. He said no. Okay. Hi, audience. Hope you're doing well. Hope we're not too boring. Yeah, I think to a point, faith is dangerous if you're putting it in the wrong things. Like if you're putting faith in external sources, it can be really dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about nutrition. We've talked about nutrition.
Right.
How every year, stuff like the meat industry, like all that stuff changes what is good for you to do and not. And it's completely based off of the people in the industry that have a stake in what happens. Meat industry have a stake in what happens. So to a point, belief in systems like government and education are key, because if we don't believe in those systems, then they won't work anymore. If you believe in them too much, they can also breed misinformation, misintelligence. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it happens. If you look like the history books we're taught, some of that stuff's not real, not true. But at the same time, if you don't believe in anything, there's issues. A certain amount of personal belief is needed. You have to believe in the world you live in to at least a certain degree. You should have a faith in something. It doesn't have to be like a specific thing, but having a faith in something larger than yourself helps to create external motivation, especially when you're lacking that inside yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge thing that people that don't have anything like that, when life gets tough, it's really easy to shut down because there's nothing driving you forward.
Yeah.
So I do think to a certain extent faith is important, but how much? Right?
I think you just have to be able to discern your own beliefs with common sense, I guess. And common sense is, such a interesting thing, because I think we all have the common sense to use manners and certain things like that, which are.
I wish I just burped really loud and you said that. I really wish I could just summon a burp.
And I think going back to Octet, this is about internet addicts, and discerning your own beliefs is a very prominent theme on the internet. It's just people spewing their opinions.
It's also a difficult theme too. It's difficult to have.
Yeah. So I think if you're able to discern your own belief for very, vivid reasoning, then, that's a good thing. And the people are going to disagree. That's how life works. But
yeah, no, I agree. I think too, if you look at like little God, it's a little girl. It's trying to make itself easier on the people. But I always find that interesting, because I do think that the concept of God in general is just simple for us. Like the concept of a being is really attractive, because I think that for the most part, if you look at the way the natural world works, it like thrives in chaos. I mean, it is chaos. Like entropy is one of those things that just always happens. It's the reason that we exist. It's just the chaotic mixture of things that made this world inhabitable, that made most of the world that we've observed not inhabitable. Chaos is what happens. And so, but it's a lot harder to believe that we exist because we happen to be a certain distance from the sun, which happens to allow moisture to accumulate, water to form, then terrain to form. After that, animals in the water that eventually somehow came onto land, and then
Millions
those
of
animals
years,
kept
billions
going.
of
And
years,
lizards
yes.
would move until what? A meteor hits, happens to kill the lizards, paving the way for mammals to have a better spot. We happen to have this thing happen that no one knows what it is, that gives us this ability to create and question things. And then from there, we actually make it mid-level predators all the way to the top of the food chain and create
Yeah.
a situation like this.
Yeah.
That's impossible. Something must be controlling this. There's no way that all that stuff happened.
Or it did.
Well, maybe not. We don't
Right.
know. But it's a lot easier to accept that someone did this for us
Yes.
than this is just fucking random. And especially if it's random, what's the point? It's
Yeah.
the concept that comes up. That's when like nihilism and shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's because that stuff's very concerning for us. Those concepts freak us out.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people that are religious got it a little easier. They have that ability to just be like, and it's a faith. I just trust that this is how this is working. It has
Yeah.
to be working this way. It makes sense to me. And people that are not, people that are like very science-driven people, the hunger. You're never gonna,
It's their
you will die
passion.
before they figure it out. You will die before they figure it out.
Right.
So all you can do is sit here and like twiddle your thumbs and like try not to have a panic attack.
It's and I'm glad that you just referenced like anxiety and panic attacks at the end there, because that's really, I think, the crux of what you're gonna decide to
This
believe.
podcast was brought to you by panic attacks, anxiety. Have some today. Sorry.
Sorry. I really wanted to add on to that, but I still got that sleep fog.
Go. Do your thing.
But yeah, the I'm sorry.
Did you forget? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Oh, I should.
The crux
the
of,
joke was so good.
Yeah, it was a good joke. The crux of what you believe, it's what makes you less anxious about existence.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Steadies you.
yeah, it's if you're insanely curious, you can't stop thinking about how we are here, then you're gonna want to explore it, and then you're gonna look at the scientific reasoning behind it, because that's out there right now.
That's a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Science
and
is a religion.
if you choose to have that knowledge of what matter is going into this whole thing, and what chemically and all of that, you're going to look for it, and you're going to continue as far as the scientists are right now.
Yeah, and that stuff will change too. It's all so
Right.
weird to think. 600 years, look back and be like, "Pfft,
Right.
that's crazy. Because you're like, no, it makes
They were
sense. But
like-
like it doesn't make sense. We just think it does.
Gravity. That's all they had.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, seriously, it's
Yeah.
just weird.
Um,
How much time do we have?
We are at 18 minutes.
All right, I have a question for you.
I was about to say something else. This is kind of like assumed based on what I just said, but like inversely, if you don't want to think about those things, you're gonna cling to a faith, because you put faith in an external force that is making these things happen.
Guides your hand for you.
That's not bad. You could totally live like that, and there's a certain Taoism to that as well, because if you, and maybe I'm speaking for predestination more, but like if you believe that somebody is guiding you, something is guiding you through life, you're going to go about however you're going to go about,
Because there's a reason for it.
because somebody else is doing, and it is what it is, and you can choose to like do your own things because you're a little thing, or you can just say that that's what I was supposed to do.
Yes.
You know.
No, I feel you.
Or if you do something that you feel bad about and it's regret, then you're gonna say that you weren't supposed to do it, and you strayed.
My
and you
mom does
sinned.
that. My mom loves this concept of like there's like family vacation. People had to wait like 6 hours to come, so they had to get on the road way later.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, there's a reason. There's a reason we shouldn't have been on the road that early.
Yeah.
There's a reason why. There's a car. There's something.
Well, I
If
believe
we went
in that.
earlier, and I don't.
I believe everything
That's
happens for a reason.
great. Everything happens for a reason.
Well,
something for this. It's like the fact that we had to leave later on our trip is because if we didn't, something bad was gonna happen.
Oh no, that's OCD.
It's BS.
That's OCD.
Everything happens for a reason is BS in my opinion. Really, I don't think that makes sense. Everything happens that's very human centric. That's very like that's very individualist of like everything that happens to me happens for a reason. To me, it's more things happen and then you twist around due to those things and then something else happens. But I don't think it's that happened, that there's a reason that happened. It's just that happened in you as an individual, moved in an adjacent way, and a million things happen every day, and as a result, that's where you end up. I don't think it's like for a reason. Who says?
I think the if there's a part of that I could believe, because I've said that before. Everything happens for a reason. If you go through life, so you're making all these, you have these sensory experiences, and you're making decisions and things like that. You're gonna look back on those decisions over time and those sensory experiences, and you're gonna judge it, and you're gonna say, did that work out for me, or should I have not done that? And if you're happy with it, or if you are willing to say, regardless of if it was right or wrong, something's gonna pan out.
That's what yes.
So and that maybe bleeds into the idea of karma too, like it's
all right. Question for you.
Okay.
What do you believe in?
How do you mean?
What do you believe in life? Everyone believes in things. What would you say if you had to boil you down to something, like what do you believe in chiefly first? Sit with it. Ruminate if you need.
I'm close.
Oh God, I'm close. Oh God.
Oh God. Oh little God.
I love thinking.
That thinking, consciousness.
Damn. Ha, got it.
Yeah.
My last word was the one you were.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's the most powerful thing that a person can do is have consciousness and intent and the ability to just sit and follow a train of ideas within your own head. It's really amazing to me. And I was talking with my girlfriend about transcendent meditation and those kind of things. And we were having I think it was like an hour-long discussion on what does it mean to transcend? Because is it a state where you are in like is your like soul like transcending, and
can your consciousness truly leave yourself? Can
it leave yourself, or is that feeling still within yourself, but it's just a new level of I'm okay and this is how I am.
It's the second one.
That's what I choose to believe, but also who's to say?
Who is to say?
Because
What's
it is
the
just
difference?
it's a feeling.
I think it's more that kind of stuff you can't ever truly live yourself because you're tethered to your brain and stuff. But I think it takes you out of your conscious brain into your subconscious.
Yeah.
Because, we have like 27 senses or something around there. All these different things in terms of balance. There's so much stuff that works in the back of our heads to create our consciousness.
Yeah.
So I always say this to people, where does your brain, like where do you think you start? Not your body, but like where do you start? Like when you look down, you can see your whole body, so it's not there.
Yes.
It's somewhere in your head, like behind your eyes, like brain.
Where does it stop being?
Somewhere in your brain, but it's not. I feel like I exist in front of my brain. It's like right behind your face is where I feel like the consciousness really is.
Yeah.
Weird thing to think about, but I think about that all the time. And I think that
it feels like the back of my head to me.
Yeah. So to me, it's like I feel like there's this. I don't know. Anyways, that consciousness, like when you do stuff like transcendent meditation, things like that, it just I think takes you out of that front brain and it takes you into more of your inner head. And so sometimes people feel like they're kind of above themselves because like as much as you can't see this, you're aware of it. Awareness is this huge concept that we rely so much on our vision because our vision is our first primal sight. Like our sight is our primal sense. And so we rely on vision. But if you take vision away, so many other things come into the picture. And when you take that away, it allows you to kind of come out of yourself or what you perceive to be yourself, which to me is like right behind the eyes.
Yeah.
That's how I view that. What time are we at?
We're at 25.
Probably a good place to end.
Well,
Well,
I'd like to end.
closing remarks.
Okay, so another thing from Little God, which I hope you all look at.
13 minutes long, worth a listen.
We'll leave a link to the Spotify in the description. So the last thing that I wanted to mention that this made me think about was how if God is out there, if the being came down, little God style, like
Pinto
I'm
bean.
God, I can do all these things.
Hey, what's up, man? I'm God.
Part the Red Sea, all those things. And we can ask it, what's the secret to life? Will we believe it? Because is it
God's
just
this thing we can't even touch. If we can touch it, is it God?
it's just the level of if it can perform miracles, but they can be scientifically explained. Like, oh yeah, wormholes are fathomable, so to time travel, that's another dimension through a wormhole, things like that. Yeah, it's just you can explain away certain things. There's a level where maybe we can explain certain things in the future, but our human intellect now can't.
Can't understand it.
So it's just there's that level to it as well. But at the end of it all, existence. What does it mean? I don't think that question can ever be answered.
It's very highly personal.
I don't think it can be answered because if there is an omnipresent being, are we going to believe that it's actually that being?
Mm-hmm.
How would it? Because if we can scientifically explain things away, how are we going to believe that that is really?
That's level of faith. And
Yeah.
if you chase science, you chase truth, you'll never be able to. If you don't and you chase faith and belief, it'll be very easy for you to.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it is.
So
I will leave with a question. What do you know? What is knowing? What do you truly, if you can boil things down, what can you really say you know?
not what you heard.
What do you know? What does truth mean to you? What is the goal of knowledge in life? And what will satiate that to make you happy?
And with that,
We say,
thanks for tuning in
and we'll see you next time.
Sunday.
Sundays at the station. Thanks a lot.
Have a good one.